How's it going, everybody? This is Rob of Novakast, back with some more podcast stuff for you guys. We're on episode 115, and we'll be talking about, or at least I'll be responding to a video from K9-Aversion, talking a little bit about James Bond, and a funny tweet from a particular individual, as well as Eugenia Cooney, or at least more so responding to the video response that Belle Aubrey made towards Willie Mack, or at least involving, people kind of not being particularly happy with some of the things that they've been saying and doing. So, yeah, I'm a little bit late. I apologize for that. It's just trying to get everything set up for the stream has been a little bit hectic. So I do apologize for being a little bit late. By the way, how's it going, Machiko? So I think, if anything, I'm going to get right into it. Starting off with the K9-Aversion video. Now, I'm not going to lie. Seeing videos like this kind of makes me question these people's thought process, or at least particularly, it's a good example of, questioning the person's thought process and what they say or do, whether or not they actually believe some of the shit they say. In fact, the video that I'm going to be quickly kind of giving a response to, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm kind of curious. And I kind of feel like it's reaching. A link between dog worshippers and alcohol abuse. And yes, that is the title. Her channel's right there. So, yeah. Seeing a title like that, I don't know. Like, I can't understand how this person could come to that conclusion of making a comparison between, people who like dogs and people, like, I guess, also getting into alcohol abuse. And it's weird. And I mean, me personally, I feel like this is a person talking out of, like as always, a person that just talks it out of their ass and hopes that, or prays that people actually listen to her. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this.
I was searching for images for my next video, and I came across this. Now, we all know what dog...
So this is, I hate to be rude. Who am I kidding? I'm rude with a lot of my responses, which is a lot of what a lot of people will say. It's sad when you get this triggered over something so simple as this to make a video like this. And that's usually how it is with this individual. Is she sees a meme, an image, something that honestly is supposed to be a joke, and proceed to go way out of proportion with this bullshit. Like, really.
Dog owners do with peanut butter and their dogs. The fact that this is printed on a t-shirt that you can order on the internet,
it doesn't hurt anybody,
but not surprising.
Doesn't hurt anybody.
On this channel a lot about how dog extremists are trying to normalize bestiality.
That's not bestiality. It's a joke. It's a meme. Get over yourself.
I made a video,
which I'm sure those were but the videos in question that she's showing, I would assume are probably age restricted, showing, dildos and all that, which I don't understand why people do that. Honestly, I mean, there's some weird people around the world, and I mean, at this point, it's just me, but it's not my place to judge if they're fucking weird. Now, besides, creeping on kids, now that will be something I judge on, because that's sick. But above all, this other shit, it's not my place, and I could care less.
about how bestiality is much, much more common than most people realize.
Doubt it.
And this
I doubt that. I really, really doubt that. I haven't seen this video, but I'm sure this person tries to claim it's like, oh, what? Like 50% of the population is into bestiality? Fuck off.
is just another example of how sick our society is and how sick this whole
Hello,
dog
random guy.
worship culture is.
I can only imagine it's, less sick than, the dog hating cult that follows you and drinks the Kool-Aid. No, sorry, Flavor-Aid.
Anyway, I looked a little further into Google Images and I saw a whole bunch.
I'm looking at the chat. Saw your Demon Slayer video reaction. It was awesome. Thank you, random guy. That I really appreciate that. I try my best with since I've put more of my focus on my reactions, my reviews, and my let's plays. I've been trying to do put a lot of effort into those. Lately, I think if anything, for those who would probably want to watch me play Alien Isolation, you guys might like some of the videos that are coming out. I will say that when it comes to horror, I'm totally different when it comes down to, a movie, but a game, then it's a totally different story with me.
Bunch of these sorts of images.
Okay, I just want to drink wine and pet my dog. Again, these are just jokes. Here's the thing. It's like, these are just jokes. These are just memes. These are just, it's just a non-issue that this person is trying to make it into a bigger thing.
Ownership with alcohol abuse.
No, it's not. And
it got me thinking. Now,
that would be a first. I'm sorry for being a dick. It's just, especially when it comes down to logical thinking, that would be a first.
This could just be a case of trying to cash in on what they think is sellable. As we all know, our society...
I just want to drink beer and pet my dog.
Is very...
Yeah, I kind of feel like these are just jokes and nothing more. This woman sounds familiar. Is she the same woman you responded to in another podcast? I read one of her, with the recent podcast I read, or at least last week's, I read one of her posts where she was trying to compare the Christian faith to dog ownership, and trying to bring up trying to make the argument that even though there is pedophilia in certain sects of the Christian religion, that it's comparable to dog ownership because, comparing to like dog attacks, and I guess trying to make it out like we allow this to happen when in reality we don't allow this to happen. And as I said in that podcast, when it's uncovered that a priest is doing creepy shit with a kid, they're excommunicated. Wait, she was that K9 woman? Yeah. She keeps changing her name. It was K9-Aversion, then the Defenders of Humans and the, I'm using quotes, natural world. And now it's the future is pet free. Using the same thumbnail, too. For her, or the same profile picture. But anyway.
Be sick. And people are choosing to numb themselves with both alcohol and dogs.
I don't think you can compare the two, and I think it's rash and very, very belligerent to try to compare the two, or try to make some kind of comparison with this. Again, especially if it's because of it's a stupid fucking shirt. My God, lady, get a fucking life.
And other things. However, it seems to me that this rise in dog worship has coincided with the rise in the glorification of alcohol.
No, it's not.
I think the time frame is...
All right, I vote for vodka. Misery loves alcohol. Yeah, I look at these and these are just jokes. Good point. There's a reason why dogs are called man's best friend. I see. I don't tune in very often. And like we talked, and we're not trying to, and just so we're clear, because we say this every time we talk about this woman or anybody in the dog hating community, we don't denounce, the occurrences of, dog attacks. But at the same time, we acknowledge that they're not as often as this lady and other people who are as delusional as her claim it to be. Usually, especially when it comes down to, a lot of situations, it's mostly because of, dogs being in a more of defensive response. Now, again, there are those random moments that are rare that occur when the dog will just out of the blue attack somebody. But again, it's rare. It rarely happens. So to an extent, there's usually a reason, like a person, defending themselves, there's always a reason. Just like for any animal, there's always a reason for them to defend themselves or to attack others. And when it comes to this video, it just fucking shirts. She's, she's making a non-argument out of fucking shirts. Out of a fucking joke.
Similar. And I'm wondering if there could be
Okay, so more memes. It's just memes. Oh my god, this is pathetic. And my dogs are growling. What you guys doing? If you guys heard them, they were growling, or at least Bambi was.
a link between the two.
No, there's not.
Although I am 24 years sober, I haven't gone to an AA meeting in about 12 years. I didn't know any dog worshippers when I went to meetings. And I wonder what things are like now. I wonder if there are any sober dog worshippers.
This is so stupid. I got a pup a month ago and can verify she doesn't attack anyone, and she only bites when she's protective of her toys. Yeah, me personally, I have 2 Chihuahuas. One is just a deer head Chihuahua, and the other is a pug Chihuahua Pomeranian mix. She's a year old, and she has a ton of energy. And on occasion, she likes to gnaw on toys. And if you mess with her, she'll kind of like, play nip like they do, that dogs will do when they're playing with each other. And me personally, I've slowly gotten her to stop doing that. Oh, thank you. But yeah, this is so stupid. And it's honestly, I can't only imagine like how much time. I mean, it's a 4-minute video, but I kind of feel like this is just sad. Spending this much time, like more likely not only just looking for images to try to prove her point, but at the same time looking up all this shit and trying to bring up this argument that somehow owning dogs is comparable to alcoholism. It's ridiculous.
I think it might be necessary for dog worshippers to abuse alcohol.
No. So you're telling people to be alcoholics. So that's good. That's a good argument.
Or engage in other addictions.
No. This lady is fucking dumb. Are you fucking serious? Are you telling people to get on? Okay. That is fucking horrible. And I say this because part of my own job is I've for my career I've worked in drug and rehab. No, you don't go out and tell people to go do drugs. I don't think this lady realizes how addictive these things can be, whether it be for alcohol, marijuana, if it was like, I was gonna say PCP, just every other, every variety of drug has their own, side effects, their own issues that are inflicted on people. That is a bad take. That is a bad take right there. Trying to convince people that maybe you should just go do other drugs. No, that's so fucking stupid. I do wonder what's become of her life in order to waste a lot of time on a worthless crusade. Gee, what boyfriend chose her over a dog? Chose a dog over her, got the order. Well, here's the thing. And I believe, and if I remember correctly, she spoke about this in one of her videos. And it was that her husband, who apparently is a quote unquote therapist, apparently told her about this. So half the time I'm kind of wondering if this is even her thought to begin with. If anything, her husband's probably the one that started the whole, dog hating cult. Heck, half the time I always kind of wondered if it was K9-Aversion being, or not K9-Aversion, but the I Hate Dogs channel guy being her husband, because this is just full-blown crazy. No, I understand, Ren guy. I understand. But this is just stupid.
In order to maintain their sick lifestyle. When I quit drinking, I started to see clearly and think about things I never thought about before. If I were still drinking, it's highly likely I would still own pets and think dogs.
That's no. I mean, you'd probably still own pets. That's the thing. I mean, regardless, I mean, again, because drinking isn't related to you owning a dog or a cat or whatever. You can't compare or relate the two. And I think it's just pathetic that she's trying this hard to do so. All because of stupid jokes on shirts.
Are wonderful.
I'm sorry for repeating myself. I'm sorry for repeating myself, but it's just dumb. This is idiotic. And it begs the question, I always beg the question, who actually listens to this and thinks that this is a smart individual? This kind of, how should I put this? This kind of thought process is just so dangerous. Especially with, and I don't like going into political, but especially with nowadays, where thinking the wrong way could lead you to getting hurt.
Those days, I was in a haze and could easily make choices that weren't in alignment with my values. Maybe on some level, I knew dogs are horrible, but alcohol made me numb to that reality.
Whatever.
I was numb to everything. Maybe on some level, dog owners are aware their lifestyle is disgusting.
I could tell you right now, my lifestyle and the way I live is a lot more happier than I would probably guess how you live. Living in, complete paranoia and delusion. How you describe everything, how you go about your channel. I mean, we kind of get a window. I mean, especially with, you talking in nauseum about this particular topic. I mean, it just goes to show the individual, to an extent, like a window into your thought process. And in that degree, I would want to say I pity you, but at the same time, I honestly, again, I just feel like, comparing myself to you, I probably live a little bit of a happier life because I don't live in fear and delusion.
Not to mention socially and environmentally irresponsible. Maybe they know deep down that dogs are not comparable to children, And alcohol provides them with a means to keep this uncomfortable realization.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Go back. I just realized something. I just looking back at this design printed on both sides. Okay, so that was for a second. I was like, wait a minute, because there are certain websites or like at least sections on Amazon where you buy a cup or you buy a shirt, and they allow you to customize the print. And for a second, I was like looking back to see if she possibly, went onto one of the sections of Amazon where you could print your own shirt and made an image saying, that particular thing.
Children. And alcohol provides them with a means to keep this uncomfortable realization at bay. Abusing alcohol.
It's funny she says this, but I have 2 dogs and I drink rarely. If anything, maybe once a month. So what the hell does that say about me? So I think if anything, I think I can, gladly say that she's full of shit.
Alcohol is a way to run from reality, and that's exactly what dog worshippers are doing.
She says this. She says that. Makes that remark. But she has a channel, or renamed her channel, The Future is Pet Free. Now who's living in fucking delusions?
Drinking is a huge part of Canadian culture. Just about everyone I know drinks alcohol.
Yeah, just like it is for Germany or Britain. Or the US. I mean, there's a lot. I think if anything, honestly, and Scotland or Ireland, freaking hell, anywhere in Europe, it's big and drinking. It's big on drinking, so that kind of breaks the argument there too. I guess if anything, drinking is anywhere, and unfortunately, I'm sure most of those people that do drink aren't going to have dogs, or at least some of them. So it kind of breaks the argument, and some of them more likely are alcoholics too. So that kind of breaks your argument as well. Lots of countries drink. The country that has the worst problem with it is Russia, as far as I know. Oh, yeah. You don't know how many videos I've seen of angry, drunk road rage from Russia, which I think they have the worst rate. I got to double check on that. Don't quote me. But I think last time I checked, it was like Russia that had the worst rate or rating on road rage and drinking for those stats. But yeah, drinking is not just exclusively for Canada, and it's not just exclusively for one place. Once somebody reaches 21 or the proper age, depending on your country, they're allowed to drink. And some of them will become alcoholics, and some of them probably won't even own pets. So to that degree, this kind of breaks your argument just wide open. Because you can't, unfortunately, you can't compare, people owning dogs and alcohol or alcoholism or alcohol abuse, I should say.
The dog worshippers across the street from me, the owners of the Cane Corso and Pitbull mixes, drink a lot of alcohol, and they also smoke a lot of marijuana.
Okay. So they must like their marijuana. Granted, me personally, I I'm one of those people that doesn't take part in that. But at the same time, it's like, are you trying to make an argument or are you just reaching? Because right now, it just seems like you're scratching, like just kind of coming to conclusions at this point. Oh, the people, and by the way, is this the same people that you used an air horn on because their dogs were barking, doing something that they naturally do to be alert? I'm sorry, you're grasping at straws, lady. What? They're automatically abuse marijuana and alcohol because they own dogs? Is that what you're trying to say? If so, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot, lady.
I don't know what it is like elsewhere. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this.
Oh, I would, but you delete comments. Like, the only people that actually leave comments are the people that agree with you. So I won't leave a comment, but if you want, you can, check out the video or the podcast after it's been released. But yeah, I'm not leaving a comment because it'd be a waste of time. Now, with that, I think I've said my piece already, like numerous times. With this particular person, it's stupid. She's grasping at straws. I'm gonna move on from there. Random guy wrote, the Russian government does know and has tried to take action with making mandatory close times. That's good. At least they're trying. At least they're trying. I know with like certain states there is like that cutoff time. I know for certain states, I think it was like around 1 or 2 o'clock is when they stop serving alcohol in certain areas. And then again, it's depending on states too. And then at a certain time, I think like the earliest is 10 o'clock is when they serve alcohol or can serve alcohol when it comes down to, liquor stores, bars, etc. But enough with that individual, because again, that person was an idiot. All right. So and I think with this one, because I have a feeling I might be alone on this particular podcast for today, but I wanted to quickly talk about this. And I think since we're kind of going down the list, was James Bond, which, by the way, I hope people. I wonder if a lot of people saw the movie yet. I haven't. I will say Daniel Craig has been my favorite James Bond so far. I need to see the older stuff too, as well as. Gosh, I can never remember the actor's name that was before him, but so far with his films, I've really enjoyed them. And what did random guy write? Well, states and countries in the U.S. as the prohibition era has caused some counties to not buy liquor. Really? Actually, if I remember correctly, and this was actually interesting because in certain areas, I want to say, because I visited Virginia at one point, and mostly for vacation purposes. This was a while back, but I went and visited over there for vacation, and we were kind of stocking up to stay at the Pierce Brosnan. Okay, thank you. But just for the quick story to add on to what you were saying for your last comment, I was stocking up, and we were getting a variety of different alcohols, and we were able to get like stuff like beer or lagers, I think it was lager. I can't remember the exact term. Which I'm not a big fan of beer. But anyways, we were getting quite a few things, but the only thing that the stores didn't have, or at least the grocery stores, were, liquor, like whiskey, rum, all that. And we were told that apparently they don't sell it at the grocery stores, but I guess by law in that state, they had to be sold separately through the initial liquor stores. So that was something that was really interesting. Whereas, you'll have like certain stores, like let's say in California, or I would say, I think actually California is probably the best example, where like you go to places like Walmart and they sell both liquor and lower class beers, or, just lower class alcohol. So that was interesting. But yeah, Pierce Brosnan was the other one. I enjoyed GoldenEye. The World Is Not Enough. Then there was To Die. I think it was like To Die Another Day. And to top it off, like, and going towards Daniel Craig, the Casino Royale, which I will say is like a really awesome movie. Then Skyfall, probably being my favorite out of the films thus far. But anyways, I want to make this topic quick because I saw this from everybody's favorite feminist, Anita Sarkeesian, and I just want to get this over with because I kind of laughed. All right, I watched 8 Bond films in 3 days. You're welcome. Nobody cares. Please scrub the toxic masculinity from my brain now. Thanks. Oh, and listen to the pod, which I'm not going to listen to their podcast because it's honestly at this point it's stupid. But in their other tweet for Feminist Frequency, they wrote, a new Bond movie is out, and we've got a lot of opinions on what No Time to Die does and doesn't do differently than its predecessors. Listen to our... Now, a lot of people are excited at this point, too. And knowing Anita Sarkeesian, especially with the comment of just, toxic masculinity. Granted, again, it's a spy film. It's going to be, the guy, the male spy that, finesses the female persuasion. This was when Sean Connery was James Bond. Okay, wait, hold on. I've only seen one Daniel Craig James Bond movie, that being Spectre. I still need to see that one. I think Skyfall was probably my favorite. Again, my favorite out of all. I have some vague memory of watching the old James Bond movies. This was Sean Connery, or this was when Sean Connery's James Bond. I think Sean Connery passed away like in the last couple of years, which I believe he was the first actor to play James Bond. I think you're right on that, Rand Magi. I think he was. But first, I want to have a little mini rant because, again, James Bond, you have a character that is a spy, a male spy who finesses or kind of, to an extent, romances on occasion the opposite sex. But here's something that always bugs me, because they especially with people targeting James Bond, they act like, oh, James Bond is evil because it's a toxic white male who uses his sexuality to persuade women to get naked with him. Like, wait, hold on. Like, is it just me, or do they forget that, in a variety of these different movies, you have women that do almost the exact same thing? A good example is the female Russian spy from GoldenEye. Honestly, that white male line in of itself sounds racist. Yeah. Now, again, people forget that there were female characters that basically, romance, the Bond too. I mean, again, a good example is the Russian spy that we see in GoldenEye, that I will say has very powerful legs, um, that can kill. I'm gonna have to disagree with you and say, yeah, James Bond movies are full of toxic masculinity when it came to female characters. Also, Sean himself said it was okay. I don't know about that. I would have to see that for myself. Again, I've only seen from Daniel Craig and Pierce Brosnan. But I think when it comes down to it, especially now, because I mean, what are they going to do? Especially with what they did with Bond now, by the end of the film, because I've already been told in nauseum of what happens to Bond by the end, and I guess they introduced a new double seven or 007 character, who apparently is not as, how should I put this? I still need to see the movie, but from what I'm hearing, is not as great, or if anything, expressive as previous characters. And to be perfectly honest, I get bored easily of characters that seem badass, but honestly have nothing to them. Random guy. I would consider that just being a different time and it being a bit hard to blame him. Also, Sean himself being a certain way says nothing about the movie itself. I mean, like I said, me personally, it might just be me. I just feel like when it comes to Bond, to an extent, it goes both ways, especially with, yes, granted, it focuses on the Bond character, but at the same time, especially with people using their sexuality, it goes both ways. Never understood the whole toxic masculinity. But nevertheless. All right. But I figured I'd go through that mini rant and go right into our next topic, which I am not particularly happy about responding to. Just because it's... By the way, I need to make this... I call BS on the different time excuse. You mean to tell me they managed to live through the decades changing and never change themselves? But most spy movies are made for male gaze, so meh. Um, I don't think it was just for the male gaze too. I mean, to be fair, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the actors that play Bond over the years have been hot. But that's just me. So, if anything, I was both focusing on the women and the men in those, in my case. But all right. I'm going to get into my last topic. And I'm going to speed up the video that we'll be responding to. So, I don't know how I feel about this one, because recently, in a recent podcast, we talked about some of the T channels that have been kind of bullying Eugenia Cooney. And this has been frustrating, especially with, how blind some of these people are to what they're doing. And I guess to an extent, Aubrey responded to Willie Mack's response, or at least, the responses in general, and made a quick response with that was 30 minutes. I'm going to try to watch as much as possible, but it's my response and why YouTube agrees with me. And I think I'm going to just speed this up. No subtitles, actually. Go ahead and speed it up. But what did they... I would say it's easy to say this, although I'm willing to bet that a lot of people are that way. Like it's one of those easier said than done things, or kind of things. Do I think he's right? Absolutely not. I think that's terrible for his take to be like that. Spy movies are for the guys. It's a movie about hot chicks fighting crime, or hot men fucking hot women and fighting crime. Those are terrible guy movies made for guys, and it's okay to admit it. To an extent, I kind of feel like that there might be a disagreement on that, because I'm sure there are women that also enjoy those films, not just men. And if anything, it's more of, I'm sure there's, plenty people who are, to an extent, more interested in the men than the women, to a certain degree. But all right, so this is the response from Bella Aubrey.
So recently, as I'm sure a lot of you are already aware, there's a creator who made a video regarding my stance on Eugenia's content either getting removed or age restricted in order to protect children and minors from the dangers of pro-Anna and Thinspo content.
So I don't get this, because they're continuously trying to claim that that her content is pro-Anna, even though she's not promoting. And she's anorexic, yes, but at the same time, she's not promoting anorexia. She's not outright saying, "Oh, you need to be anorexic. It's a good lifestyle for you," or doing anything like that. And some of the proof, the quote proof that these people have brought up, has been shoddy at best. And I think we've, and by the way, just so I can get this out of the way too, we at Novakast do not condone any form of harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, etc. We're only responding and then just going from there.
Well, it is certainly fine for people to have a different opinion than me, although my stance is also YouTube's stance, which...
That's a stupid line to make, or a stupid thing to say. Didn't one of your videos get taken down for nudity? Last I heard. and especially with some of the things that have been said with a variety of other responses to this video.
We'll get into in a little bit. This creator went out of his way to paint me in the literal worst light that he possibly could.
It wasn't hard. You kind of did the work for him. To be fair.
Like, I started watching the video and there was zero objectivity. There was no mention.
I don't get that. I don't get that line. I call bullshit. All last year commentary channels all around said we shouldn't give Eugenia Cooney any more attention and to ignore her videos to help her with her EDD. Why are we suddenly trying to coddle Eugenia Cooney now? Are you talking about me or are you talking about them? Machiko. And Machiko, by the way, hopefully when it comes down to the other topic, I didn't offend you or anything. I was just only giving my stance and kind of giving a rant because I see it differently than a lot of other people. And to me personally, again, I don't. It's just my own opinion that I don't think that it's mostly just for the movies like that were just for men. So if that offended you, I do apologize. But I was just trying to give my own point of view. Even if it was YouTube's stance, it says nothing considering about YouTube has its own set of issues. Not saying that you are, but you are suggesting that she be kicked off the platform. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think when we discussed it last time, I can only imagine, especially with how many people are going at her right now, I can only imagine her mental health. And the idea of, with something that she's built up, losing her channel, losing revenue, or losing a chance to, or basically her only income, I can only imagine the mental strain that will put her through. It didn't offend me, but I wasn't saying no women like those movies, but that the movies are made with a satiric demographic in mind, being men. Okay, that's understandable. I would agree. I think if anything, I would agree for most men. I would agree with that. Me personally, I'm kind of different. I'm sorry, but going back to Machiko, if you could comment, were you talking about me or are you talking about her, Bella Aubrey? Because at this point, I'm only defending a person that's getting bullied and being targeted. I don't remember a lot of the movies, so can't say. That's understandable. Like I said before, I haven't seen all of the films. All I've seen were of from Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig's lineup. Just like for the most part, when it comes to Doctor Who, I've seen through was it Christopher Everson and going on to I think Matt Smith and David Tennant, because David Tennant's fucking awesome. No, I don't think she should be kicked off, but the goal was to stop spreading her content so much. Okay. I think I can kind of at this point, like me personally, just making these kind of videos and saying that some of the things that these T channels are saying and doing is only going to make things worse for her.
Of why I might have the stance that I had. And I remember thinking as I was watching that this was not an objective critique or audit as he was trying to frame it.
It was a critique. And by the way, he was very critical with some of the things you said. Christopher Esselstyn. Okay, I screwed up the name. And yeah, he's awesome. Loved him being Doctor Who. I still need to watch the 12th Doctor, like the actor that played the 12th Doctor. I might check out the 13th Doctor when I have the time and motivation.
This was literally a hit piece meant to smear me as much as he possibly.
Not a hit. I mean, no, this was not a hit piece. What? That's so stupid. Oh no, he talked critical. I love that. I love that when people try to do that. Oh, he talked critical about me, and it was a hit. He tried to make it into a hit piece. Oh. By giving her so much attention, and mean all commentary channels like Repsion and iNabber, even Jack and Glenn herself told everyone to stop giving her attention. What changed? Peter Capaldi. Okay, thank you. I mean, at this point, especially with Jack and Glenn and Repsion, that again, I think that was more focused to the point where they were trying to defend her from the harassment from Onision originally. I don't know if I've seen anything recently of Repsion's where he was still doing videos on Eugenia Cooney, but at this point, especially now, where speaking of Onision, it's actually funny because it just seems like he's kind of dead in the water. I looked at his channel recently, and he is, besides the creepy shorts that he does, he hasn't done anything for about a month, or at least, again, when it comes down to his main channel, and he's deleted or privated a variety of different videos. But I mean, with everything, everybody else, I guess every other T channel just started going after this person or Eugenia Cooney. It's just really fucked up. He was all right for one season until the BBC started to try to make him more like Matt Smith after the first one. Oh God, I'll have to check it out. But anyway, continuing.
We could. Like, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought this creator was getting paid to do this because of the amount of vitriol that he had towards me in the video.
I doubt it. You gotta love how people, like, even though, granted, when it comes to commentary videos, yeah, they put ads on them, but I don't think the main focus was money. I don't think it was. If anything, it was like myself. I mean, I would say that myself being an example. When I did a lot of my commentary videos, it was mostly because I wanted to talk about things that really bugged me, especially when it came down to individuals like Onision that unfortunately were pieces of shit and did horrible things that people that trusted them. So to a degree, I can imagine, granted, yeah, if you're going to put ads on your video, one, there's nothing wrong for that. Two, I'm sure this guy's actually, what he's doing is, talking out against the individuals that are being pieces of shit. Haven't heard from Onision since the Chris Hansen situation. At this point, for everybody that wanted him to be kind of slowly kind of be erased from existence, I think that, to an extent, the Chris Hansen thing kind of dealt a huge blow to it. But at the same time, people just, especially with some of the drama going on with that, people just kind of distance themselves of that drama, as well as that individual or doing videos on him. Machika wrote, after Jack and Glenn got Eugenia Cooney admitted to the hospital where she got better for a brief time before Eugenia Cooney checked herself out. Eugenia Cooney told people their only hope for Eugenia now was to ignore her videos and stop boosting her. So the persons who original idea was to deplatform Eugenia Cooney seems to be going under the radar for some reason.
Now, it's one thing to present an objective and opposing viewpoint, but it's a completely separate thing to try to completely disparage the individual who has the opposing viewpoint while also trying to villainize them at every.
I mean, to an extent, again, you did that to yourself with some of the things you said, because some of the talking points that this lady made was idiotic, especially that whole panty thing. That was stupid.
Return. And that's exactly what this guy tried to do in his video. So I want to take the time today to address some of the criticisms, and I also want to clear the air regarding my stance on the situation, and I also want to bring up some points that he seemingly just forgot to mention, probably because they didn't fit the narrative he was trying to push. But what I find really weird is he followed me on Twitter a few months ago, and I've had the same stance publicly this entire time. Not only that I've had the same stance publicly, but that I haven't been talking about Eugenia recently. My last video on her was back in August, and that video I only did because other people were trying to skew the perspective that I have on Eugenia, and I was trying to clear the air. And I've also been public about the fact that I don't want to talk about her anymore because she really does trigger my own ED. But even before that, my last video on Eugenia was back in May. I think it was May 5th specifically. So my last video on Eugenia was in August, and before that it was in May. It's now October.
It's still in the same year, which, by the way, from what I've heard, especially watching the video from Tommy C, or at least the streams from Tommy C, the reason that Willie Mack did his video was it was brought to his attention by, I believe, Nick DeOrio or another channel. And not only that, but also, and it was in turn in correlation to a lot of the stuff that was going on with a lot of the other channels. So, I mean, to an extent, it's relevant to the conversation when it comes down to some of the things that people say and do. Random guy wrote, as sad as it is, I don't think she'll fully recover unless she's capable of distancing herself from her parents, because if it seems like they might be enabling her behavior. That may be, but at the same time, I'm going to say people can have their own opinion, but me personally, because I honestly don't, know her personally. I'm not going to go into that assumption. There may be a possibility. Like, there was a point in, as naive as I was, especially when it came to defending her, when Onision was attacking her, I made the argument that they're again, down the line, that I made the argument that she may have had something else going on with her, and that he was attacking her for no reason. But again, that was me being naive. Now, why I bring this up, because at this point, especially when it comes down to the fact that, again, I don't know her personally, I can't just assume that her parents are enabling this behavior. If anything, there's a possibility that the parents understand what's going on, but there's only so much they can do, especially since at this point, their daughter is an adult. There's not much we can actually, or not us, but there's not much they can do. Machiko wrote, you know what I find weird about this is at the same time with all the Eugenia Cooney stuff started, there have been multiple big name YouTubers talking about Nikado killing himself for views. It's opposite reactions. That's actually weird. Yeah, it's actually interesting you bring that up, Machiko, because this lady actually denounced his eating disorder. Because we talked about this in the last podcast, where people brought up the argument that, wait, you're going to attack Eugenia Cooney for her eating disorder, but you're not going to go after Nikado Avocado. And her argument, or her conclusion, was because he doesn't fit the criteria of beauty as Eugenia Cooney. It's like, what the fuck does that got to do with somebody's eating disorder? If somebody has a health issue, it's the same degree. So that makes no sense. And if anything, it just seems they're being a little bit judgmental. To the same scenario of eating disorder, only one's fat. She talks fast like my sister. Also, everyone needs to realize that info about her mom being abusive came from Jack and Glenn. Most of this information came from Jack and Glenn during the first Eugenia Cooney wave. Jack and Glenn talked about this, and it was revealed that she hadn't been to a doctor for years. I mean, again, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Jack, again, because to play devil's advocate, because again, I don't know her personally. I'm not, friends with Eugenia Cooney. Let's just say maybe perhaps, behind the scenes, without people knowing, she has been going to see a doctor. But again, there's not much they can do if the individual, just like to kind of compare to an extent, because it's somewhat of the same behaviors as somebody who is in or dealing with drug or alcohol addiction. If a person wants to get better, it's ultimately up to that individual. People can't force treatment or rehab onto the individual. But this lady is just irritating.
So where was this fake moral outrage before? Why is it just coming now? Where was it for the last year when I publicly held the same exact stance that they are complaining about now? I get that there's kind of a lull in the commentary community.
All right. Comments left on his video. It's literally too much to write. Check out the subreddit and other videos on her. She is not innocent, and mother enables her by photographing her dying daughter to show off or odd her body to young fans online. She is sick and needs rehab, not 2,500,000 bit donations each stream so she can buy more Moschino. Why do I have a feeling this video won't age well?
Community right now, and there's not a lot for people to talk about, but trying so hard to grasp at
What did Machiko write? But how do you judge what's okay to post or what's not on YouTube, and what's healthy versus unhealthy promotion without it delving into censorship? That's actually a good question. Because, I mean, again, when it comes down to it, ultimately, it's actually, unironically, it's all up on YouTube, what they consider. I know I know that might sound like a shallow answer or a hollow answer, but to an extent, if YouTube, and let's face it, YouTube does jack shit when it comes down to doing what's right, when it comes down to their content and what's posted. But to an extent, they don't care. They really don't. But to an extent, I'm sure people have reported her videos time and time again and have looked at the videos, because I'm sure a lot of people have tried to make the claim that they're pro Anna. And if they don't see that, then they're not going to do anything about it. They're just not. Yes, you have an individual who's anorexic, but if they're not promoting anorexia, they aren't going to deplatform her just because somebody claims that she is doing something that isn't clearly there. And Ren guy, the only thing I can say is just leave it, because I'd leave it on the individuals to make their decision. That's exactly the point. And that's exactly what these, people like this person don't understand.
this situation, this manufactured drama, in order to have something to talk about is really sad. I also saw a lot of people trying to paint him as this fair and objective creator. So I went back and looked at some of his past work, and he literally called D'Angelo Wallace Of all people, the biggest douchebag on the internet.
Isn't he a douchebag though?
D'Angelo Wallace. Now, do we see any of this fair and objective criticism thrown at anyone else who's problematic? This creator also framed Katie Morton as some kind of hero. This Katie Morton.
Katie Morton. I'm trying to see the video where he paints. Hold on. I want to quickly look this up. Dude, what the hell? Massive deflection. If that's the case, then they'll have to let a bunch of other stuff slide and let natural selection do the rest. No, they can't claim to want to protect anyone anymore. Not like they ever did. So I want to look this up for a second. Katie Morton. Willie Mack. All right. I'm not seeing that video where he tries to claim Katie Morton as a hero. Downfall of Katie Morton, YouTube's corrupt. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Katie Morton, the therapist. Well, you know, that just dawned on me, freaking A, because it's right there. Well, here's the thing. She's a therapist. And I'm sure compared to a lot of the other people on the internet that don't have a fucking degree in psychology, she may know a lot more than a lot of the people that, you know, just create a YouTube channel, talk out of their ass. D'Angelo Wallace being a hypocrite is subjective. Dude, what a massive deflection. If that's the case, okay, I read that one. Like, she's not even defending herself and is actively trying to turn the attention on the individual she's talking about. To be honest, there's only so much YouTube can do. Plus, it would be tough decision to make, as it would end up with people on both sides not being happy. Well, to be fair, a lot of people are not happy with a lot of things that are going on with YouTube. But anyways, continuing.
Now, either with all of his objectivity, he just didn't care about letting his audience know what kind of person she is, or he just did zero research into her. If you want to watch some videos that are actually objective about some of the horrible things Katie Morton has done, including promoting an app that was really shady and exploited users with depression, then you should check out either Uncle Herman or iNabber's videos, but there are a bunch of other videos that are really good about this. Another point that I found really interesting.
I've kind of found iNabber to be boring, and I'm sure he probably has the same take as this lady. Katie Morton also said Jack and Glenn was an awful friend for getting Eugenia Cooney admitted. Want to be fair, you'd also have to agree that Jack and Glenn was a bad person. I'm not saying Jack and Glenn was. I mean, to an extent, if what Jacqueline said was true and that she was trying to be friends, or if she was friends with Eugenia Cooney, I can understand, like, to an extent, trying to do what they thought was right. But again, I think to a certain degree, also trying to force, treatment does not help either. Because I've seen, in my case with my work, I've seen cases where, trying to force treatment does not go well at all.
Interesting is his insistence that I am a T channel. Now, if you look at this clip from his video, what do you notice about every content creator on the screen right now?
Oh, I've seen this bit, and this argument's stupid. It is.
They're all either a woman or they're LGBT.
So she's trying to make the argument that because they're woman or LG, I screw up the acronym. But you get what I'm saying. She's trying to claim that this person's a bigot because they're responding to, of those individuals. I'm sorry. To make an argument from a content creator that's content creators that are better than me, that's not making an argument. That's not. And if anything, you're reaching by trying to make that argument. This situation is so gray, but both sides can only see it as in black and white. It's annoying. She's going on a whole tangent about the other person and trying to call out the other individual when it's about them. It's about her and what she claims. Yep.
So let me get this straight. If you talk about current events on YouTube, then you're a T channel. Well, as long as you're LGBT or a woman. But
no, don't. This is pathetic. It's pathetic that you're trying to make this argument. Don't go this route. It's not an argument.
If you're a straight guy, then it's just commentary, bro.
When a T channel says rotten stuff about Gabby or the commentary guys, it's okay. We could take it.
When a T channel says rotten stuff about Gabby or the commentary guys, it's okay. We could take it.
Okay, got it. I also find it really funny because Sloan literally uses his platform.
I don't know who this guy is.
Brave enough to use his platform to call out some of the most prolific predators on YouTube and in Hollywood. So how dare you call Sloan and reduce his content to just being tea? His videos, I looked at his channel. He talks about like Tati Westbrook. So that's commentary, but talking about grooming minors and predators in Hollywood, that's just tea. Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I also reached out on Twitter to debate this guy on the whole Eugenia Cooney Thinspo content situation, and this was the objective and intellectual response.
Yeah, didn't she block him?
That I got. So no, I will not be debating him. But also, if you take a look,
Yeah, because you probably lose. You'd probably lose in the debate.
look at his content overall, such as his video getting upset at YouTube for banning Alex Jones or other extremist and awful creators, you can start to paint a picture of his views on, let's just say, progressive issues.
So she's trying to claim he's all right. I think I'm like this close to just closing the video, because what I'm seeing right now is this person is not going to actually acknowledge, or if anything, go over some of the things that he says in his video, but try to paint him in a different light and claim that he is a bigot and that he's alt-right because of certain views. I won't deny Belle is projecting, but I don't think people like Tipster and the rest give a fuck about Eugenia Cooney. They never have until now, and once this whole thing stops trending topic, they'll go away. The whole T channel versus commentary channel shit is dumb. You're the same thing with... what do you mean? With different demographics. Machiko, what do you mean with that last bit of your comment?
Now, before we get into the specific video in question, I do just want to clarify that I have never, ever advocated for a single person to go and send any hate towards Eugenia Cooney or harass her at all. That has just not happened. I know some...
Yes, you have. You've promoted several, what are they called? Not articles, several polls to basically try to get her video shut down or force her to go to rehab you've done that.
Some people are lying right now, and some people are.
Well, Machiko, there's only so much people online can do. That's actually true. Because, like I said, I mean, me personally, I mean, you Machiko, you've seen my earlier videos. You know that I've talked in like, especially with Onision, just giving my thoughts about, Onision's harassment towards Eugenia Cooney. I myself, and especially when it comes down to it, I care about some of the things that are going on. In fact, I think I did a video or a couple of videos where I kind of gave my own concerns about her health. But it's been a while, and I recently got into this again because I just feel the way they're going about this is unfair. You both talk about trending topics and give your personal opinions on situations based on your views, but T channels are geared towards women and LGBT, and comment channels are for gamer bros. It's just her young fan base are affected. There are victims coming out, and she triggered them into an ED. Not to be inconsiderate, but I mean, especially when it comes down to, with if something that triggers you, we talked about this in the previous podcast. If there's something that triggers you, then why not turn it off? Again, I mean, I'm solo right now, but we've talked about this previously. I mean, if it affects you that much, and the same goes for, again, drug and alcohol addiction. If it's something that triggers you, you walk away from it. You do your best to remove yourself from the situation. That way, you are no longer triggered. Why continue to view something that is triggering to you? All right. Now someone correct me here, but if they should maybe stop watching. Okay, that's what I just said. As they can choose to avoid that kind of content. That's what I said too.
Trying to milk the situation for views and make it seem like I'm this horrible person, and that's just what I like to do. But I actually haven't. In fact, I've always said the exact opposite. I have told people to not go and comment on her videos. I've told people specifically to not harass her. And if you feel like you must do something.
You also claim that apparently you wanted to deplatform her because you claim a friend of yours was triggered by Eugenia Cooney.
Something, you can block and report the content, so you don't get triggered by it when YouTube puts it on the trending page.
Or
so if you think I'm the kind of person,
or you don't watch it. You see a Eugenia Cooney video, you don't click on it. It's that simple.
That's ever going to bully or harass someone, then please just unfollow me on everything. I have never, ever called for YouTube to ban people simply because they have EDs. Implying that I think all people who suffer with an ED should be banned from YouTube automatically is just not true. Like, that's just...
I don't care about Eugenia Cooney, truthfully. But if we're going to act like YouTube is this place where everyone had the right to talk about everything, why do we pick who gets shielded when it's confusing? I mean, at this point, I think I kind of understand to an extent, just again, looking at this, like, in my opinion, looking at this, some of the people that are doing this, I don't think is right. I don't think that, the way they're going about this is okay, as well as being, especially with the video that Willie Mack posted with some of the things, their points of, again, Eugenia Cooney, tweeting butterflies, or her quote unquote panties being the same color as her eyeshadow, are ridiculous claims, to say the least, to try to make it seem like she's promoting an anorexic lifestyle. It's, to me, it seems like it's reaching. And more so because, I mean, with this, at this point, especially with somebody has been part of the medical field, I can see how this would play out to some degree.
Just a straight up lie, which is very rich coming from someone whose entire argument was based on me supposedly lying. Now, I just want to reiterate, this creator is lying to you by implying in any way, shape, or form, either directly.
You claim that they're lying, but you aren't going to actually prove it.
Or indirectly, that I support removing people from YouTube simply because they are sick. I have never thought that. By that logic, since I have an ED, I would also need to be deplatformed, and I would also have to advocate for the deplatforming of anyone who suffers with an ED.
Also, mental illness doesn't work like that. Sadly, your brain will know doing something or looking at something as is bad, and you'll still do it, because not doing it is worse than just giving into bad habits. All right, look up Education Shanny 20. I'll have after the podcast, I'll have to check that out, which I think might be coming closer than I think. All right, come on, man. Like, there's a certain amount of responsibility that comes with choosing to watch or endorse content you hate.
And I would have to title my videos, "Everyone who suffers with an ED should be banned from YouTube," or something like that. But I didn't do that. And I don't think that. And I never have thought that. What my belief is, and what my belief always has been, is that people who weaponize their EDs in the form of thinspo or pro-ana content, who...
Okay. You keep claiming that she's pro-ana, but you haven't actually proved it. You haven't. I'm done. You haven't proven anything. This again, you want to project, you want to claim that she is pro-ana, but you don't show any evidence whatsoever. And that video, that poor excuse of a video that she posted, was just nitpicking at best. So I'm done with that video. I guess to an extent. And looking at some of the chat, I agree to an extent when it comes down to what certain people. I mean, especially with Michiko giving her points. I mean, at this point, and by the way, if as I've said before, I mean, the only time I actually discuss these topics at this point, mostly for my own mental health, and because I've gotten so tired of the drama, anyways, for the most part, is I usually leave it to the podcast itself. So, and that's mostly when I'm doing this as a group, because myself and MJ, usually have a pretty good conversation when it comes to this. So, and I will say that she probably has better takes than I do, or at least, I guess if anything, helps me with kind of getting the point across. So, to an extent. Just bottom line, this is just my personal opinion. The way that people are going about it right now, like trying to claim concern for Eugenia Cooney, I don't agree it's actual concern. I think at this point, people are just trying to use her name, especially with, the fact that, unfortunately, she has anorexia. And at this point, especially with certain people like Bella Arbry trying to deplatform her, trying to make false or loose claims that she is anorexic or pro-anorexia, is honestly just... I was going to say disheartening, but if anything, it's just pathetic, to say the least. So, with that, and by the way, thank you to everybody who's been following the chat. I think I'm going to end the podcast here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry that I couldn't get anybody else on. Everybody else was busy, so I had to do a solo. But thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care. And I will see you guys in the next video.